like everywhere, pretty much, ever since all the ones there that started in Oklahoma and Nebraska, and however many nights that was ago, a couple nights ago.
The old Weather Channel's going nuts about it tonight.
Yeah, and then the Michigan ones there last night.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah, now the ones a little bit farther east. They've even been getting bad ones, storms in North Carolina and Georgia too. They said earlier, so it's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah,
All it does is rain.
I'm showing a
All
COD as you talk.
Yeah, all it does here is rain enough to make the grass grow. That's about all that happens.
Yeah, it's really taken off in our place here in the last, when I was gone at Joe's and came back, and I was like, whoa, grass is like way greener than what I left.
And it seems to like keep coming across, but it doesn't seem to be coming up any farther than Michigan, I guess, is the farthest north it's come for the bad
Like,
weather.
girl, I'm seeing everything, so that's odd that you're not. So I'm sorry. Let me check that.
I'm seeing it, so
Yeah, I'm seeing it on two screens.
Yeah, just refresh there, sis.
yeah, Twitch is being twitchy.
Yeah, phones aren't working properly and the internet's not working properly. So just know that solar flares do have a reach.
Yeah, I haven't looked to see what else has been happening since the X flare, whenever that was, this morning or whatever.
Yeah, that was a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we've had, what, 3 of them today, haven't we?
Yeah, let's check. Let's check here. Oh, did they even count that as one? It's a 976. And then that one was a 998. I thought it beat it. I thought it went over the top. Yeah, we had one here, one here. So virtually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, but only 2 are going to count. These 2 other ones doesn't seem like it's going to count. Let me see what this guy's got to say. Solar flares. Yeah, I mean he's got it up there.
We're still in an M, aren't we?
Yeah,
like
we're still
M1?
we're in R1 right now. Yeah, M. Yeah, it looks like it went to 986, the second one, and the first one went to 1.02. But according to Space Weather Live, but if you do NOAA doesn't have it that high.
So who's like the USGS of this situation?
Well, NOAA's is faster. You know, swpc.noaa.gov. They're faster. The other guy's site is a little bit slower, but you know he's got great information on all of this. Looks like today we've had an M3, M18, M19, M35, X1, M7, M44, M18, M21, M4, M85, C66, C65, M7.8, M2.9, M2, M1.7, M9, M9.7, all today. Today
It's the
being the
M&Ms.
8th. Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just a ton of, and Class M is 95%, and X is 60%.
I've never seen numbers that high ever.
65% according to Space Weather. Yeah, the last one was an M9. Yeah,
Well, if they're all
60.
if they're all coming from that big sunspot in the center, They're pretty
Right.
close to being Earth facing.
Well, what's
But
interesting on the screen, it shows the Carrington event sunblock compared to this one. They're pretty damn close in size,
oh, cool.
That is crazy.
right? The other one that's leaving us is up on the northern rim. And the Carrington event was a little more toward the center, which is probably, I think, more peaked in the solar cycle. In the solar cycle, they shouldn't be in the north and the south. They should be more toward the middle. And that's kind of what's starting to happen from what I've read. And that halo that I talked about yesterday, there were multiple halos. And now NOAA has said, yes, we're going to get walloped. And we talked a little bit about that this morning on the morning report. And as it comes in, you watch right here, boom, there it is, 2, 3 of them. And they jump on each other, and we're going to get it somewhere around the 11th. We'll get
Yeah, they were predicting right now what they're
G3?
predicting for Saturday, a G1 to G2 solar storm.
Yeah, and it could be that the other one that comes in on it could make it a G3, which would mean a KP7, right? So
Yes.
yeah, KP7 would be a G3. I'm thinking it's going to be even maybe a little higher. It might jump to even a KP7, a KP8, only because of that halo is directed right at us, and we're just about to drop out of the M level right now, but it has peaked and it's progressive, and it seems like it's mellowing out right now. But
It's kind of crazy how longevity of that
we stayed in
last
the
flare.
that we stayed in
That
the
we
M
stayed in the
series.
M's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole day we were in the M, except for from 1440 to for 3 hours we were out of the M's. That's
we'll
it.
see if the Antarctic anomaly shows up again.
Solar activity at this date last year, we weren't as high as we are right now, QuakeCat, because we're entering more of the solar cycle maximum. So I don't know.
Well, I could tell Kat in 1978 we had a G4 solar storm, and in 1951 we had a G3, also along with 1992,
a G3,
and then 1981 and 1948 was a G2.
Mm-hmm. And we had this day in history, which is a new UT, X 1.1 in 1999 and 1998, and X 1.05, 012, M681, 2023 last year at this time, and M6.5, and in 2012 an M5.91. So if we wanted to look at 2023, this day in history, pretty active. Tuesday, May 9th, 2023, we had a M598. We had a M425 and an M5. So 3 high M's, and we had a what was this? An M133, an M122. So 5 M series, the strongest being M6.57 on this date last year. So I hope that answered your question.
Right. Today the BZ has been pretty mellow, and the interplanetary magnetic field has been pretty mellow too so far.
Yesterday's stayed in. We had 1M a year ago, that is, and if we went the day before that, couple of M's, and it was all really nominal before that. Let's see, next day, and the following day we had one more M, so tomorrow would be 1M a year ago, and then the day after that 2 more M's, and then just nominal C's for the next few days. Yeah. And then we popped in, what was it? Is that an X? An M916 on the 16th of May, a year ago. And then maybe a C9. Yeah, C9. So I went out of basically in pretty strong solar activity. May. Oh crap! What happened? I don't know.
Hey,
Man.
Canuck, do you now since we've had all these M's and the bunch of X's flares too? Do you expect that something big go off with an earthquake somewhere or a volcano?
Well, it depends on when the CME hits or how many CMEs there are, because I think that's what sets it off. Because it seems to be like delayed until the CME hits us.
Right.
Yeah, I'm seeing 2, if not 3 CMEs.
Yeah. But see, every time there's a new one, they reset the model. So that's what Wages World was talking about. He said, well, if you get a whole bunch all at once, it keeps resetting the model. So
Correct.
So then he gets, well, then they kind of get all confused, right? Because they're looking at too much data because it switches it like every friggin' time.
Right. And the page here that we're looking at from NOAA, this page is, it begins, you'll see on the 6th. So it hasn't been updated.
No,
Right.
So it depends because see, it changes it all around depending on
Yeah.
which one they're showing, which is why sometimes they get surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Because the model is just based on one CME, but if you have a whole bunch shot at you on like in a short period of time,
Try and look up
it's hard to
NASA.
tell, which one it's trying to figure out. So it's crazy stuff.
I suppose a lot of it depends if they stack up together too to make it a bigger CME when it hits us.
Yeah, sometimes they come together, and other times they don't, because it's all like the angle it shoots off and which way it's going and all that stuff.
Right.
Like I think that it sets off the bigger quakes when we get it more direct, which glancing below, it's not as much because it's been fairly quiet like the last
Well, they say 2 CMEs are
day or
coming at
so
us.
for quakes. But
Yes, it has been.
And it looks like between the 16th and the 18th, NASA is saying that it will hit.
Looks like they come together right when they hit us.
Correct. One moves faster than the other. So in looking, that's in NASA's. And if we're looking at the if we're looking at the LASCOs, the mess of LASCO, right? Now this is updated. This started on the 9th, it looks like. On the 8th. 8th at 2 a.m. You can already see something coming up. Then here's the big boom right here. This is the first halo. And then there's a second halo right behind it within there. And then there's a third one. And a fourth one. and then there's a fifth one. I don't know if that's a halo yet, though. Yep, it's a halo. A fifth one just happened. Oh, I don't know, 2,200 hours. You see that halo right there. That one in the middle is not a halo, but this other one is. Well, the differentiation between a halo is when it encircles the disk. So when we're looking at it, all the crap, you can see it's all the way around it. So we've gotten several explosions from the sun. Now it depends on the speed of some of these. From how I've seen it, let me see here. You can see if here's the sun, it'll let off a crap. Hold on.
That's funny. The girls are getting a good laugh out of it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's when the CME hits us, that's what makes the charge come out. I think that's
Right.
I think that's
And
how it works.
I was looking at the forecast earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And they were only saying like for today and tomorrow, like max of a KP4. But now that they've bumped it up for tomorrow, possibly a 5+, and
Right.
then on Saturday it'd be in a 6+.
Mm-hmm.
And then you should see the quakes ramp up into like probably 5s and 6s and maybe 7s. We'll see.
Well, we had that one 6.1 this morning at Bonnetu, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
6.1, yes. Okay, I'm sorry, my diagram here. I have to jump out and make sure. Yeah, anyway, I'll tell you later. The red, the blue, then the purple. The red, depending on the strength of the explosion or if there was a filament let loose, can go at a certain speed, but the second one can overtake the first one. What will happen is they'll compound. And when they start to compound, these two, they'll become more serious.
Wouldn't an easy way to describe it, it'd be like a tsunami out in the ocean that's
Yes.
coming on the shore?
Yes. And the numbers that we have right now, like I said, I counted at least 4 or 5 of them. If they all get to the same speed, now there could be one that's happening and 3 that are on one, and it'll feel like it'll be one block of time. But that's not to say it's not going to break down or compound itself when it hits us.
Right.
So it's we have to, this is great things to kind of overlook and watch, to see whether or not earthquakes, build. You know what I'm saying? Or something happens.
Right.
Now, in looking at the magnetosphere, watching the velocity of the wind, as we're doing here, it's nominal. It's 400 or 500 right now, and
It's been pretty mellow so far.
Yeah. So, and then if we're looking at the protons, the density of protons, that just isn't a lot. And
so would you think that the Earth is absorbing all the charges from these flares and not repulsing it right now?
Yes, I think
the
that's
plasma,
what it's doing.
right? The plasma isn't here yet. What's here is the radiation.
And I think that's what's the Ventusky anomaly that keeps showing up. Because after we had the 4 X flares there the other
Mm-hmm.
day, the anomaly showed up on Ventusky again, and it was the biggest that anybody's ever seen it. So
Right.
I started researching to see if I could find out dates that had actually happened before, and there's people
Mm-hmm.
now that've gone back to look, and so they had a bunch of dates. So I looked up all the dates, and then I looked to see if we got X flares and M flares on those days,
Uh-huh.
and we did, like within 24 hours of the anomaly showing up
Right.
on Ventusky.
Well, I'm
That's
looking at it now.
when it did.
Did you see one happen today or?
No, it was when we the right after we got the 4X flares, and then they
Okay.
scrubbed it off again. But everybody saw it and reported on it because there's like 40 billion people watching it now, and they've gone back and got the information and they took it off within like 12 hours or 24 hours again.
All right.
But where it originates is down by Bouvet Island, which is also the Bouvet Triple Junction, and it's also where the South Atlantic anomaly is. And if you study the South Atlantic anomaly, they say it's how the Van Allen belts interact with the Earth's core through the South Atlantic anomaly. So what I
Off
think
of Brazil?
no, Bouvet Island. Yeah,
Um,
Do you
it's
think?
out in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge
right.
towards the south. It's the same place that the Ventusky anomaly shows up.
Yeah, right off of what do you call it? Africa there in the Atlantic.
Yeah. So what I think is happening is the flares, when we get a whole bunch, like in a short period of time, all together, it's interacting somehow with the South Atlantic anomaly, and
Mm.
then it shows up as a gigantic wave on Ventusky.
Do you
So
think maybe? Do you think maybe that's where the flares being absorbed into the Earth at maybe?
could be another theory. And if you start looking into all the stuff that they're studying down there, because Norway owns that island, they found all sorts of weird magnetic gravity anomalies there and everything. It's crazy stuff. So I started looking into all that, and then it started making sense to me once I looked at these other dates and all the stuff that was going on. And so that's what I think it's doing. So I don't know if it's being absorbed through there or what it's doing, but it shows up as like a gigantic wave on Ventusky. And now everybody, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how many people that are looking at it now because they've gone back and like going through the data to see if they can find it, because there's people that actually save the data, but they scrub it off of Ventusky, the Ventusky people, because they just call it an
Um,
anomaly. Because I don't think they understand what it is, or if they do, they're trying to get rid of it. But the problem is now there's so many people watching it that are recording it, they can't really hide it because it shows up for so many hours before they get it off of there. I think that's what it's doing. Because every single date that I looked up going back into February, and it also coincided with weird things happening too, like the cell phones going out was February 22nd.
Yeah, my cell
yeah.
phone goes out all the time with a solar flare.
Yeah, well, when there was like the big outages in the states, because I started looking up all the different dates, and I said, oh well, that was the same. It was the same date as the 911 outage there that happened back whenever that was, a month or so ago. Because there's all these dates on everything, so you can just go and coordinate them all. It's pretty wild stuff. So I sent one of the guys there that's been looking at it. I sent him all the stuff I found so far. So he's like, "Holy crap!" He said, "I never thought of that,"
Right?
because he hadn't been researching the South Atlantic anomaly or anything like that. And I said, "Look where it is," and I said, "It's where the triple junction is," and everything else in Bouvet Island, because he'd been studying Bouvet Island trying to figure out what they were doing down there.
All right, let me
Hey,
explain this here. The South Atlantic anomaly, according to Wikipedia, is an area where Earth's inner Van Allen radiation belt comes closest to Earth's surface, dipping down to an altitude of 200 kilometers or 120 miles. This leads to an increased flux of energetic particles in the region and exposes orbiting satellites, including the ISS, to higher than unusual levels of ionizing radiation. The effect is caused by a non concentricity of Earth and its magnetic dipole, and has been observed to be increasing in intensity recently. The SAA is near Earth region where Earth's magnetic field is weakest relatively to an idealized Earth-centered dipole field. There is a picture. Here's the pic.
Well, that leaves me with a question, okay? Now, normally this anomaly doesn't show up on the radar unless we have a whole bunch of flares, right, Canuck?
Yeah, like in a short period of time.
Okay,
Like
so
like right back to back, like in a few hours.
so could it be a possibility that when that happens, that the actual polarity in that area flips for a while and then flips back?
I don't know. Or it's absorbing it in, like what you said before. I don't know.
Right. Right.
Good question.
Flutter, that
And
might make Canuck a little uneasy by you suggesting that. Continue, Canuck.
yeah, so it's crazy stuff, but that's the theory I'm looking at anyway, from all the
Right.
stuff I started studying here just in the last
I guess I
however
was
many
just trying to
days.
think of a different idea of, you know, maybe a possibility of what it could be, or, you know.
But there is weird stuff about Bouvet Island too, because I started looking into that.
Well, the
So
the outer radiation belt, inner radiation belt, that's what they're talking about. South Atlantic anomaly. I wonder where the ring current in relation to both of these are located. Because when the ring current gets overwhelmed, that's when we start to see the ley lines or magnetic lines start to vibrate and we get earthquakes from my perspective. I wonder, is there a tie between the South Atlantic anomaly, and the rotation axis and inner radiation belt and the outer?
well, the South Atlantic
The
anomaly, if you
wobble.
look where it is, it's actually between Walker Lane, the Walker Lane extension that I call it,
Yeah.
and the Texas Liniment extension. So I would think that those two should get more charged up if the South Atlantic anomaly is.
Have you ever thought about when the South Atlantic anomaly is, very present? Is there like a period of time within a week or two that we would see a big quake afterwards?
I don't know. We'll see. I'd have to look at all these different things that I've just like as far as I went back was from people that have been watching the anomaly that shows up on Venture Sky. It was only back to February. So that's the only information I could find. I don't know how long this has been happening, but see, it's just another thing that I add to all this other data to try and figure out. So we can only go back 3 months of people that have found stuff.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Now, if it keeps doing it, like we just had all the however many M flares we had today, however many it was. Well, we'll see if the Venture Sky thing has like another anomaly that appears like tomorrow or whatever,
Right.
because that's a whole bunch of M flares.
Yep.
So we'll see if it does it again. But we're not gonna know until it like shows up and people report on it. Because see,
Well,
when it happened it happened all these other times. People weren't reporting on it till
right,
Into Thin Air did it the first time on April 10th. But there's all these other people that have saved the data for whatever reason that they're looking at it, and they went back and found the same anomaly like multiple times. And lately, it's been happening like at least once a month, if not 2 or 3 times, and they've actually like gave the dates. So I found them online, and then I went back and started looking at the at see what other things that were happening those days.
right.
So it's crazy stuff, but because I think that everybody's just starting to understand this stuff because it's showing up on so many different things now, and we have so many data and information sources that we're using. And
Yeah,
I
we got
think a lot of times the people that have whatever the site is or the satellite or whatever is getting all this stuff and they don't know what it is. So then they're trying to figure it all out, or they just say, "Oh well, it's an anomaly." Well,
or they just
everything,
scrub it from the data.
yeah, yeah, everything's an anomaly until you figure out what it is, right?
Exactly.
My brain's an anomaly too, but there you go. Just like everything.
You are an anomaly, buddy. Anyway, so on the screen, we have Bouvet Island in here in orange. There is a quake that happened in Chile. If you draw the line, and you draw the line, and you draw the line, Texas liniment goes right through here. Another liniment through the Middle East, through a triple junction, not Middle East, but Central America, a triple junction, and doing the same width or thereabouts, pretty close. Interesting.
Well, if you did one more line to the north and east there, wouldn't you be running right along the 706 line too?
706 is kind of like this. And I think the 706 is, again, this is my supposition, nobody else's. Please don't pee somebody else off. But
Well, I think the 706 line is basically the eastern edge of Walker Lane, if you want to be
right.
technical.
Well, for me, it's the progression of the East Pacific rise going that direction. Just, this is my theory.
Are you saying it's like a pivot point or what?
No, the break in the, I'll show you down here. The break in, right up here where the East Pacific rise comes up, and it's got the Cocos plate here and the Nazca plate. And then it goes up between Baja. I believe that initially it was somewhere out here where the central part of the United States is, and the North America plate had moved over it. If indeed it was out here before this splitting of Pangea, that, and as a I'll draw a new one. New, don't save. As we learned from Karen Siglock and some of the things she said, let's say this is like 50 million years ago, okay? There's a subduction zone or a rift happens, and when a plate is approaching, nothing happens. But, and this is at 50, okay? But at 35, right? The rift will change because the landmass pushes it. That is, if it's all going this direction, okay? So what happens is the new plate comes, and this is at 35. It moves the rift away from the plate. And how I think of Baja moved north, how it went like this is because at one time the rift was there, or actually it was out here, and as the southern portion of, because you can see all the way up this way, Walker Lane is older than San Andreas, in my opinion. I have it reversed versus they say, oh, it's the new San Andreas. When the rift was here, Baja was connected, or it was connected. as North America moves over the plate, it's now here, and we have the movement of Baja going north, and the plate, or the San Andreas, comes off of it, and it's like this portion, it broke off part of Baja. Okay, now that's a top view, new. The side view.
Well, so you're telling me that the San Andreas is a newer fracture down versus the Walker Lane, right?
That's what I think, and I think
Yeah,
Wasatch is older.
all the faults are just newer cracks that are evidence of the lineaments that have been moving the
Plate. Yeah.
plates forever. So I think the lineaments have always been there because that's how it's moving everything, and that's why why they say the supercontinents were in different places, but then they moved, and they're trying to find like a magic fault that moved everything. Well,
there isn't.
They're not going to be able to, because the faults are just the cracks from it. The lineaments moving everything, Earth's magnetic field lines, and so you can't find a magic fault moving everything because there isn't one.
Right, because they move.
The lineaments are actually moving everything.
Right.
So to me, you have to identify those, which is what the neotectonic people are doing, before you can figure all this other stuff out.
Right.
Because it all relates to magnetics. And now, like, there's new articles that just came out here today or yesterday, talking about there's blobs in the down by the core now that is supposedly controlling plate tectonics. They don't know what they are. So, like, every other day, there's some other new thing that has to do with magnetics that they're saying that I haven't even read the article yet. I just saw it.
They're interchangeable, Flutter. Ley lines, major faults, plate boundaries, failed rifts, all these things. Also, the L shells, that where they touch the Earth, these all things are interrelated. And if you back up, if you move North America, over here where it was, see this little gap? If you move it this way and you move Brazil way over here, right, and you put Pangea back together, the East Pacific Rise existed prior.
And what we're doing is referring to all these different things from the angle that we're coming at, right?
Correct.
So your name is Rob in English, but it's Roberto in Spanish, and Robert in French. Well, it's the same thing. Like, we're calling all these different things whatever.
And
whatever
Bob in
thing
England,
from whatever angle we're coming at, but we're actually all talking about the same thing.
Right. And the hardest thing for us to do is to move back the plates and look at times past and go, well, where was everything? I mean, North America moving north, but now it's moving due south, almost due south, southwest. Yet the GPSs are all saying they're going north still. Well, that's because the Pacific Plate, part of it, is underneath North America. And it's getting pushed. The crack, again, I'm drawing map. As the subduction goes over it, the North American plate, as it goes over that subduction zone, it moves. Like it does rifts too. If there was a rift, that rift moves because it needs to be functional, because the plate is moving as well over the top of it. This is 100, this is at 75, this is at 50, and this is at current. So what happens, and Karen Siglock broke that up. She showed that when the plate moves over a rift or over a subduction zone, the rift moves away from the plate, because what happens is the plate is now breaking, And as it breaks, the bow is more and more and more. So this stuff is going down and down and down. It doesn't mean they're dead. That's why we get earthquakes, in a subduction zone, right? We don't get earthquakes right here, but we get them down here or in here. Why? Because the plate, it's breaking off. It's being ground on the top, and then we have the big rift over the top. But anyway, you know what I'm saying.
You wouldn't even necessarily get the biggest quake nearest to the
actual
closest fracture.
Correct.
That's
right.
It could be on any one of them lines.
And most large quakes happen between 35 and 50 kilometers. You will occasionally we'll see a deep, 500, a deep 6 or deep 7, but that's the anomaly. It's different. Most large quakes.
Yeah, the top 10 are quakes in recorded history between 25 and 40 km deep.
Right.
Except for like 57.
Right, like I said, 25 and 50 is where I use those numbers. 35 is an average. And, the quake doesn't necessarily happen on the trench. It happens just offshore. Why is that? Why doesn't it happen in the trench? I mean, they do it at a lesser number. Like out here in the Middle American Trench. Most of the major earthquakes are happening just offshore. Why is that?
Yeah, because it's slipping, not right at the trench, but the slippage starts under the crust, close to the shore, basically.
I think every subduction zone is different, Kat says. I agree with you to a certain degree, but there are mechanisms in understanding how they function. And we're using generalized statements here. We're not saying, this particular one versus that particular one. Also, there's an angle. And
also, I would...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
I would say...
I was going to say also... Okay.
It's okay. The Pacific Northwest, its subduction zone is different than the Central American. Why? Because the angle of the plate that's being subducted.
Right. That was kind of the point I was going to make too, is the plate that you're looking at on the map there is at the surface. Not saying that plate, as it goes down further, is in the same spot.
Correct.
It
and the girls are talking about it now, even online.
Well, yeah, and the size of the quake depends on how far the rupture goes. Which is like if we're using Cascadia as the example, well, if it's a partial rupture, then you only get like an 8.
You can get a 7 or a 6. Because
yeah, happens. But they would be super small. So that's just a little slippage compared to an 8 or a 9.
Correct.
A 9 would be a big slip.
Right.
Like 1,000 miles worth, right?
Well, if you look at the largest one on recorded history, happened in Chile. How did that happen? It started up here with a 7, went down here with a 7, then went down here with a 9.5. That was a complete rip. But it did it in sections.
Right.
The North American one, all they talk about is one big earthquake at 9.5, and it created a tsunami, and it did all these other things. I disagree with that. I think something happened, at the Gorda Escarpment, and then at the Cascades, and maybe even something down in Southern Cal.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Japan have a recorded history of a tsunami back then?
Yeah. Again, if it happens, like in South America, right, or the Chilean one, that was a complete rip of 1,000 miles, right?
Right.
So a couple of 7s, and those all of those tsunamis hit Japan. If it created a tsunami, can there be an earthquake that doesn't create a tsunami? Yes. Can it be
Yes.
in a subduction zone? Yes. What makes it a tsunami? Okay, part of it popped up and moved the water, right? Could have been more shallow, could have been less or less shallow. It could be onshore versus offshore. It's still the main rip. And you know, in the evidence in North America on the Pacific Northwest is that they do see sand piles, and it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
repetitive. And
Yep.
so they are like, well, we don't really know when, but on
Well, and they
average,
got fossils in there too.
yeah, you know, and in the fluvial plains that happened, you know, out to sea off of Portland, and you know where the Astoria fluvial plain is massive, and what could disturb that and bring the sand back up on shore? You know, it, who knows? You know, could it be multiple quakes or just one big giant nine?
Well, I
Because
would say to
the
get a
only
big tsunami, you'd have to have a
right.
9.
Well, we had a tsunami in and I think it was an 8.2 maybe or 9 that happened in Indonesia. It killed 250,000 people on
Yeah, I think
three
that was a
different
9-1.
continents. Yeah, on 3 different continents.
Yep.
So there were multiple tsunamis. It bounced off and came back clear across the Indian Ocean. So was it aftershock or was it the same wave? Because they had the
I would say Dave.
yeah, well, that all these things, you know, they say, okay, there's evidence of this. Flutter girls misbehaving. Uh, they also check, but each is very different. Yes, I agree with you. Okay. I'm looking at chat here trying to see what they say. There's so many variables. Right. I agree with you.
And it doesn't matter if the plate raises in the earthquake or drops.
Right.
You can still get a tsunami out of either way.
When do aftershocks end and new quake cycle begins? That's up for debate. I mean, that's kind of
What in reality there is no aftershocks and no foreshocks? What if it's all
right.
just the same pattern it's always done, and that's how it works?
Right. I mean, you know,
It's just we haven't been around long enough to pay attention to it. See, this is the issue.
Yeah, we haven't been around long enough to figure out the cycle yet.
I mean, if we ask people such as Professor Nick or, you know, some of the other professors, they'll say an event stops when the shaking stops. Well, there are, you know, ETS events going on all the time, all around the world, but we've only got one group of them studying up here in the Pacific Northwest. That's it. I think there's one in Japan now too. And they're starting to understand what goes on and give warnings, you know, like, especially when they put new instruments off the coast of Japan. And they said, oh, wow, we can save lives. Yeah. You know, but I think it's maybe immature on my part to say that I think we need to challenge some of the ideas from these geologists who spend their time looking in 10 different drill spots and then draw conclusions saying this is what happened because they did that.
Well, as Canuck has always said, you know, that them guys, it's kind of not their fault because they're so focused on
Yes, Kat.
just their field of study that they ain't willing to open up their ears and eyes to take the rest of the knowledge in like we're trying to.
Well, because we don't think it's it's random. Do not believe it's random at all. I believe there's
Right.
constant pressure being applied, and there's movement constantly, and there are other factors such as outside of our planet, inside of our planet, magnetics, as well as friction and the pushing of a plate. I mean, I think Canucks thought process was right where I was at, and he said, and he voiced it before I did, so I give him the credit. It's kind of like watching a bunch of ice on a river. You
Right.
know, you start to see it when it starts to melt, it starts to break, and then you go,
And there's a
okay,
lot of contributing factors to it.
right. You know, and then it goes, okay, this breaks here, and if you watch the Alaskan guys where they're digging for gold, right? They start to see a crack. They move their tail because it doesn't take long for them to be, go out to sea. But you
Right.
know, and those cracks move pretty quick, even when it's 3 and 4 feet thick. Those cracks move pretty quick, and it doesn't take much. And if we're seeing those kinds of things, if we just move like North America is one piece of ice, the Pacific is another piece of ice. It's maybe more dense, so, and North America being more buoyant, maybe because of the molecules or whatever, one could ride up on the edge of the other. And then when it rides up, all of a sudden, what happens? It starts to bend the one or break it. Personally, I think that's what Juan de Fuca is. A part of the North American plate or Pacific plate that broke. And then you see the rift moving on the outside. That's how rifts move. What's being subducted, crashing over on top. And I mean, really? I mean, tectonically world, right? We're looking at the Pacific North. Why is this subduction zone here? And why doesn't it act like every other one?
Well, I think every fault line has tremors. We're
I
just
do
not
too.
monitoring them all.
I do too, brother. Absolutely.
It's just that they're so low that we don't care, we don't notice them. But if you had instruments there that were looking for that on every single one, but that would be a crap load of instruments.
Right. QuakeCat, how do
To do all
you
that.
how do you see the tremor map? Here, I'm going to post it up here. You think it's being interpreted inappropriately or wrong or improperly. I don't think a tremor map's being interpreted. Okay. So we have vibrations here. Again, this is it'll be on tomorrow's report because this is the latest. Right here, south of Shasta, south of Trinity National Forest, there's some vibrations going on. Often we see a lot of vibrations along the Cascade Zone. Yes, this is part of the Cascades. Yes, it goes all the way to Lassen. I think the something butt down here, this one right here, Sutter Butt, I think that's actually the very bottom of the Cascades. But I think they include Shasta and Lassen. But all the other ones are more ancient. They're 120 million years versus 35 million years. Did you know that inside of the current Cascade Range, there are a group of volcanoes that don't exist anymore, called ghost volcanoes, if you want to call them that existed prior to the ones that exist now? So there's two separate times of subduction zones going on. Well, we see that again in another location in the whole world, and I've been noticing it in let me see, USGS, and if I go to terrain, right down here in Ecuador, we see a line of volcanoes, but we now see a line of volcanoes in the back that are more active. Why is that? Is this mountain range being pushed back? And it's interesting that this is a subduction zone, but there's no volcanoes in here at all. Why is that? Could it be that's very similar to what happens up here in the Pacific Northwest? Very similar. Do you know data reveal that there is a portion of the Wasatch Range in Utah that had slow slip? Okay. And everybody wants to see it through and the only way we can do it is by looking at, I don't want to do the ArcGIS, CalSeismo.
All it is the fault difference. It's the difference between a slow slip and a big rip. So it doesn't matter which fault it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works.
Right.
So if we were monitoring every one, we'd find out that there's
I think you're
tremors on
right.
each one.
I think QuakeCat's online with what we're saying, that in every place there are vibrations going on that are just not reported because they don't have the instruments to report them placed. They have instruments, and yes, they can see it, but they're not noticing it. And then, you know, I think slow slip can happen anywhere. Yeah. You know, is a slow slip a precursor to a large quake? Not necessarily.
Because nobody cares about a slow slip until it turns into a big rip. So you got to worry about it.
Right. See, we're creatures of destruction because some of us only want to know when the next big quake's happening. You know, what happens and how much damage was made, and is there a, tidal wave or a tsunami? I don't think that's, what happens here at JSL. I think we're searching, and we got a kind of an idea that we're looking for the mechanism behind the event. And we're trying different things to see, okay, does this fit here? Does that fit there? Well, that don't work so well, but maybe this does. And we're looking for that. And sometimes it just doesn't pan out, and sometimes it really does. And on a flat Earth, it works pretty well. Hands on a letter from Pro, sharing with their colleagues where all the slow slip zones in the world, some were very interesting, being real foot rift. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, Kat. I personally think it's not dead. I think the rift that's through New Mexico, the Rio Grande, it's not dead.
It's just sleeping.
I think the Mississippi one, and I call it the Mississippi because Mississippi goes right down its gut, it's not dead. How can you get 8.0s, or 7s in the middle of a plate when it's supposed to be dead? I don't think it is. I think in time it moves, and the scar is underneath the dirt that we all see. We only see the surface of the dirt, and we see maybe 10 miles down or 5 miles down, really, because of all our drilling. We don't see below that. And I bet you below that shows all the rift that used to be here, that existed. Now, why is there, stronger rifts in a different place? And I'm able to point them out because some things, there are events that happen all around the world that make those rifts happen. I mean, what if, the Earth has had 12.0 earthquakes? What do you think would happen in a 12? The whole plate would move like massively, hundreds of miles. On a 7.0, we move about 14 feet. 7.1, we move about 15. A 7.3, we move 17. I mean, you're talking 350,000 square miles moving. The Mojave Desert. in California as evidence. 3 different earthquakes moved, one at 15 miles or 15 feet, one at 17 feet, and one at about 14 feet. That's in 20 years. Do you think the plates can move a lot faster than they do? You betcha. You betcha.
It all depends if it has a driving force behind it.
Correct. And looking for that driving force, you know, for me, it's the chicken leg. It shows me what's going on in the Pacific, all the way up the coast.
How about when that asteroid hit like 66 million years ago?
You're right.
The dinosaur.
But
that would be a big driving force.
Yeah. But did it? We're told that happened. Why is it that every time we're told that, nothing in this section of North America has ever moved? 50 million years. Nothing moved right here. Why is that? I mean, all of North America moved. Shoot, the whole West Coast wasn't even here. 50 million. Silesia ran up ashore, 55 million years ago, right? What's that other one up here in Alaska? Rengelia, 110 million years ago. And if Rengelia was out down here 110 million years ago, and Silesia was down here 50 million years ago, where the hell was this? 60 million years. Something doesn't add up.
Yeah, so Chicxulub ran into the South Atlantic anomaly.
Well, you have to back it off.
The Gulf of Mexico.
Right. So if it did hit here, and this whole thing is moving as part of the North American plate, then it hit when it crashed somewhere out here in the Guianan Basin. Because you have to back it off. Yet all the experts don't back off that Chicxulub impact. Why is that? Or is it that the whole entire Gulf of Mexico is a result of that?
Yeah, but 2 other asteroids hit around the same time, too.
Correct. Yep.
Figured that out.
Yep, and that's news to a lot of people, too. We ran across that in a couple different articles, didn't we? And that one asteroid didn't knock them all out. All 3 may have. I mean,
so it had friends when it hit. So it wasn't all by itself.
Do they know where the other ones that hit that?
Yeah.
Yet or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one off Africa, and I can't remember the other one.
Australia.
There's like 3
Yeah.
all around the same time.
So could the Chicxulub been like the big one and the other 2 were slightly smaller?
What's interesting...
Yeah, the other ones were smaller.
Yeah, what's interesting is one off the coast of Australia, one off the coast of Africa, and one off the coast, and they're in a straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
and a flat world.
They love the lineaments.
Yeah.
Because that's what the space rocks are attracted to. It's exciting. Because it's all magnetic.
Right.
The whole thing. The entire universe.
It is, and yeah, we bring things up. Not that we're saying that this is exactly what's going on, but we bring things up to say, hey, look, is there a tie between this event and that event? Is there a tie between solar and celestial? Is there a tie between celestial and terrestrial? Is there overlaps, and what's the interplay between all these different things? Weather, I believe, is an extension or a visible representation of what's going on invisibly in our planet. Earthquakes are the same. They are evidence of something else going on in our planet.
Well, to me, it would make sense if the Earth's core is charged up, you should get more storms, which is more lightning and tornadoes and hurricanes, depending on what time of year it is.
Temperature of the planet. You going into we're leaving an ice age going into a warm phase where tropicalness in 100 million years, Canada will be full of palm trees again. And then an ice age will happen. Or maybe there's a volcanic explosion and it freezes the earth again. Or an asteroid. Something happening. We just don't know. A nuclear winter.
So instead of taxing carbon, we should tax Earth's magnetic field and generate all sorts of funds, because it's really what's causing all our issues.
Dripping subduction. I'm not familiar with the phrase. Explain there, Quakehat.
Or we should have like a core tax, because it's all the Earth's core reacting to everything that's controlling everything on Earth, including the climate. So I think we should have a core tax. Core of the Earth.
I think you're a Canadian wackadoodle, and because you want to tax everything. I know you say it in jest. I know you do.
Yeah, that's how the taxes started, was the government making up stuff because they said, well, we need money for World War I to do this.
Yeah, yep.
That's how it started, really. You want to simplify it.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, look, we can just make up something and get free money.
Well,
it's like insurance and interest and all the same thing.
Right.
Making up free money from nothing. We'll just make it up.
Well, we can just print
all
it out.
All they got to do
right?
is fire up the printing press. Yep.
Which they print out plenty.
So it's the same thing.
That's why we're all in the situation we're in right now. Let me see. It should be this one. Okay.
But if it's digital, you just do the same thing. It's just made up numbers.
You just keep adding zeros onto your bank account.
Yep. You just make the pie bigger and keep eating more pieces. That's all you do.
Well,
and that's what all the governments are doing, basically. Every government on Earth's doing the same thing.
Right. Well, we're in. Wait, I didn't record it at all, other than here on JSL.
How do you take $10 and make it 10 billion? Just keep adding zeros.
What else?
It's a logarithmic scale, just like earthquakes.
Yeah,
that's probably where they got it from.
That's like such a BS buzzword. Oh, it's logarithmic or it's algorithmic. Well, make you sound smart. I hate the word. Oh, it's a program created by a man. It's not separate from a man. The man wrote the program. And if he wrote the program, he's got a bias. And his bias says, I'm going to tax you.
Yeah, until you have no money to pay the tax.
Right.
No good. Which is what everything is progressing to now.
Right.
So then there won't be any money to pay any taxes. So then nobody will be paying any taxes.
When it comes down to that, I'm just going to go to my bank and ask them to add a couple more zeros onto my account.
No shit, right? Yeah. Still 9 tornado alerts. Couple of them expire in 4 minutes. A couple others in 19 and 34 minutes. So there are those. Let me show you. Boom, 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 boom.
Huntsville looks like they're about ready to get pounded again.
Display. There we go. There we go. So
we've all known for.
Oops. It's some girl. All right. Cute, but.
Yeah. Well, it looks like all the northeast to southwest lineaments and eastern North America are all charted up if you look at where the tornadoes are.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah. And I tried to open up firms and it wouldn't open up earlier.
Yeah, I was having problems when I checked it a couple days ago. So
Yeah.
I don't know what.
All right.
Maybe
So
it's
it's back on. Now looky
could
here
be
from
all fried in it.
Minnesota to Texas, Central Texas. There's a line.
Look at that.
Over there in Detroit, right? All the way down the Ohio Valley. Then we have some through Arkansas, you know, lit up, you know. Look at this big curve. Another wave coming through. And when we see earthquakes, they come across this way and go along these areas all the way through.
Well, I think all these different satellites are detecting the same stuff. They just don't want to say that. Because when it starts showing up on multiple satellites, well, then that's too obvious.
And if it's showing us like this, that means Mexico's in big trouble right now. Because it's dark red.
Looks like it.
Dark freaking red. Somewhere right here, and that would be...
they're known to get 8s right there, aren't they? Like 8 4s, 8 5s.
Oh, yeah. North of Acapulco.
I don't know. Is there a lot of fires in Mexico right now?
Yeah, it's all lit up. Even the Yucatan Peninsula is lit up. Crazy. Crazy. Let me see, what does she say? What? Some girl, she's talking about dripping geology. I know. I couldn't play her because I'm recording this. I'll play it after I'm done.
Where can Kat describe where a plate is doing this dripping subduction at? I'm kind of curious.
I would do
on
it.
This, you know?
Yeah. You know what? I can pause. Restart it. All right. Sorry for that interruption. It's about 12-15 minutes, and that video is pretty long. We'll be playing it in the morning at on JSL Joe Slick Live. And speaking of which, there you go. Hi, I'm Joe of the Joe Slick Live Show. My interactive live show is on twitch.tv/Joe Slick Live. Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and occasionally in the evenings at 7. During the live show, I review and talk about reports from government, private, and other reporting agencies and websites regarding celestial and terrestrial phenomena. Topics will include solar flares, sunspots, geomagnetic storms, and near-Earth asteroids and comets that are being monitored around the world. Included in the report is current events in the last 12 to 24 hours here on Earth, consisting of volcanic, seismic, and weather events. I close the morning report off with what's happening in the local and world news. Thank you, and you can be a part of the morning report by going to twitch.tv/Joe Slick Live. Look forward to seeing you there, and remember, don't get none on you. Alrighty then. Well, I got to promote it, right? I got to put it out there. Oh, there we go. He's back on too. Brother Canuck and Brother Clam. I think our discussion is pretty broad and pretty detailed. I think we're already an hour and 14 minutes into this one, and we'll see what transpires. I do want to stop here at this point. And our rabbit hole is a lot easier to take when we can do another rabbit hole on another day. Also, if you haven't seen what's that? Oh God, don't do that. Well, where the hell is he? It might be in here. Yeah, there it is. The morning report, also the shit show with Luke Klimmer here on his channel, which would be Walleye_King on Twitch, and he's on Fridays at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Figure it out. It's where blue collar families talk about being blue collar and what it means, to do things that way. What else? I won't even talk about the sponsors of his show and ours.
Joe Slick Studios is one of them.
Yeah, Joe Slick Studios, yeah. And so we do a lot of different things here on JSL now. It'll get more busier. It will get busier and busier, and and I've got to I've got to work, and I still got to do this. I love being here with y'all. And is there anything you think we've not closed out? I'll start with Canuck, and then I'll go to Clem.
Not really. The Iceland situation is the same. So
Okay.
other than that, there's
Nothing
can't
happening.
think anything else.
You say the same. What do you mean by the same?
Well, they're waiting for it to blow through again because it's almost completely stopped at the spatter cone, and they think that the Svartsengi magma chamber is totally filled now, so 13 million cubic meters. And they're talking about building a second wall inside the other wall in Grindavik in case it spills over. So that's all the news that's going on there right now.
Right.
And they could still see stuff in the spatter cone last night, but people were gonna fly drones or whatever to see if there was still
Really?
lava in it tonight. Because they said they haven't been able to tell, like, during the day. Because they can see if it's, like, the glow from the lava, if it's still in the spatter cone better at nighttime.
Right.
So.
Right.
But they think it's down to, like, the estimate, like, it's only flowing inside the cone where the lava is at 1 cubic meter per second or something, so it's almost stopped.
It's almost stopped, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and there's still heat coming out of it, so why don't I just take a quick look here for you. Live from Iceland. Rick James multi-view live cam from Iceland. You can see right here in Sundaker, the little is still, there's a plug, and it's still hot. This is the little doohickey there. And yeah, there are 32 quakes in the last 4 hours. And I think these quakes are tremors, much like what happens in the Pacific Northwest, in my opinion. There are real earthquakes too. Beautiful morning happening right now. Or is it? Yeah, it's morning over there already. They're way the heck away from me if this is morning, because it's dark here now.
No, well, they get a lot more sun than we do at this time of year.
You're right. Yeah.
Like 21 hours or 22 hours.
Isn't that just
they're 6 hours ahead of me, so it'd be 6:30 a.m. there.
Oh, it is?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's 8:30 here, p.m.
10:30 here.
10:30 your place. Yeah, wow. Anyway, I wanted to,
12:30
I support the channel, so
I think it's 6 hours or 4 hours. I can't remember. It's the
Yeah.
same as UK.
yeah.
Iceland and UK are the same time.
Well, the UK is 6 hours ahead of me, so they'd be 4 hours ahead of you.
Yeah, so yeah, it must be 4 hours. I can find out here in a second what's Iceland time.
Looks like the Supreme Court Rule 7-0 puts more restrictions on police. Wow. I don't know what state that is. Oh, that's pretty crazy.
That's not good for them.
No. And not good for us either.
Oh, it says it's 3:33 a.m. in Iceland right now.
3:33 a.m. and the sun's coming up.
Oh.
Her.
Yeah, 5 hours ahead of us. Or me.
Something happened with the Trump trials. I want to say the New York one got postponed indefinitely, and the Georgia one or the Florida one did. Wait, it was down in Florida when they did they searched Mar-a-Lago. It might be the same one. The Jack Smith case. He's a corrupt SOB, you know. Maybe we should hang them sons of bitches. I don't know. I don't know. You know. Yeah, I don't know. They have to go to court. Yeah, found guilty. He admitted to it, so just terrible. Terrible. Yeah.
That's for sure.
Just terrible. What else? Anything you want to add there, Clemmer Doodle?
No, I think I'm good for the night.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was a good rabbit hole.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I promised a video of our adventures.
Oh boy.
And it didn't transpire because I'm still working on it. I can show one little part.
I'm here.
I think I showed it already, is why. And bear with me with the joke that goes in with this. All right, everybody? Because there's definitely some fun happening. And, oh, well, he's cut off here. Let me...
There's definitely an inside joke to the inside joke on that.
Yeah. I don't know.
No pressure, yeah.
No pressure. Damn. Display capture. He's cut off. All right, window capture. It's in a window, so properties. I know what it is. What the hell? Where is it?
It got sucked into the
there it
Iceland
is.
volcano.
Well, because yeah. All right. So I got to do it this way. I got to fix the thing because he's getting his head cut off. I don't want that. He's such a wonderful person. All right. This here is Scooby-Doo, everybody. And he's I pose a question to him.
I'm here. I'm here. Where's my boy Timmy?
He's in the back on the bed.
Woo! Woo-hoo. Yeah.
There you go. But
it was fun.
it was.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby is such a wonderful, warm person, and that'll be added to the video. So there's
The
so
one you
much
could give
more.
me, that was a long drive, Scooby.
ugly, but it was a long drive. You're not ugly, man. I mean, the beard's ugly, but you're not. I'm teasing.
I wouldn't recognize him without it.
Oh, I know. I hardly recognize him with it because I knew him without. So it's like we're all like, "What?" But it is what
It
it is.
suited you, Scooby. Keep the beard.
Yeah, it suits you, bud. There's no doubt. But it was good times, and I'm putting the video together, and I don't have a whole lot of content. I don't know what happened.
We were too busy. We didn't get
were
a chance to record.
slammed. I know, right? I got before and after, and I'm going to add the before and then bring the after, and then you only took 2 pictures on your whole trip. That's what's wild. You took one in Colorado and one, I don't know, coming to Colorado, it looked like.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And
Maybe it was in New Mexico, the one was.
yeah, and the other one was when you were leaving here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one that Scooby got.
Yeah, Scooby got that one, yeah. And I think, I don't remember. But I know
People
you
shake their heads.
both of you were welcomed with open arms, and we had so much fun. And
Oh, it was a great time, bud.
it
I
was.
can't wait to do it again.
Yeah. And
We're gonna go fishing though next time.
I got to go fishing, man. Yep, most definitely. And I got to do some fishing too. So
You
No.
need a camera crew.
no, only wives. I have a wife, so I'm not allowed to have any girls, especially in the love shack in here. So, and the only one who slept in here at if he ever slept at all was Clem, and
A little bit.
he had his own
I
little
slept a
bedroom.
little bit. Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was all fun. And I still have a big 30-foot trailer in the backyard. I fixed the fence, put it up finally. So I think tomorrow I'll take the brace off, because I added 2 more bags of cement.
Oh, yeah.
To that one side.
Right.
Before it would move because it was under the foundation as well. So I'm not sure how this will work. But also because of well, I put a couple of rebars in there too. 2-footers. I just went through them, when it was wet, just hammered it into the dirt below. And then I did one that's sideways, kinda, not too deep though, because I do want to add that part that goes across the middle. So I want to be able to tie it in somehow. And then I'll drill on the other side. But that was fun, man. That thing had a hell of a time.
Well, we got that project done. That's the main thing.
Oh yeah, the project's done. And I went out and fixed some of the parts in the very front where the plastic was showing. Cut that out, re-raked it, and cleaned up a bit. So it looks a lot better.
Yeah, well, I was just ripping and tearing with the backhoe.
Me
trying to get
too.
it done.
No. If I was smart, I would have cut all those jagged edges off and thrown it all away. But yeah, it was fun. And I don't think it was like terribly hard, but it was just a lot.
It was steady work all week.
Yeah. I thought 2 days. Oh yeah, we'll handle it 2 days. Well, 30 ton of rock is a lot of rock.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
because the first day I think we nailed it pretty much. Did we lay rock 4 days?
No, we did.
Monday we did
day and a half of dirt work.
Right.
And
So 2 days, yeah, okay.
1 full day of laying rock.
Yeah, we were finished when Scooby showed up, so I don't know
Yeah,
why.
he only had to wait like 20 minutes because we were just touching up.
Right. And then we brought in some more rock just to cover the bald spots in front of the JSL and along the wall.
Yeah.
And pew pew, 33 feet. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But it's still sitting there. Did you? Are you going to come down on Memorial Day there, Dean, or is it sooner than that?
I could always come down and drag it home with me, I guess.
No.
Nothing like another 3,600 miles wouldn't do any good.
Trying to get your wife to come with you. I know that would be fun. I know she's busy until sometime June, right? When the kids are off school.
I haven't had kids at home for
No,
like 10 years, but
I'm talking to Scooby Doo.
well,
Yeah. So it's okay. It's not bugging me being there, so it's just collecting dust. If there is dust. I don't know. I guess when the monsoons happen, it's not going to float away.
no, it shouldn't.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, love y'all, and it was a good time tonight. Yeah. We'll see.
I can't wait for the next one.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe we'll get more pictures then.
I know, right? Because I had to download your videos from Facebook, import them into OBS, export them out of OBS, because Microsoft wants me to pay money for the visual.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's like, fungu you, man. You know? But hey,
Yep.
whatever. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It is what it is, man.
Yep.
Yeah, Franklin Graham says the Boy Scout program has lost its way. No kidding. When you start diddling little kids and you didn't get freaking hung by your neck or your huevos rancheros, and you're still alive. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
I could say something about that, but let's keep
no.
it PG-13.
I'm trying. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I want to thank y'all for being here. Walleye King, Timmy, Susan, Vampy, Big T-shirt Billy. Yeah, people write his name out there. You know, Big T-shirt Billy. Watch what happens. Aussie girl, nice to see you, sister. Canuck, Doc Rock 18, just simply Sue, Flutter Girl, King of Snarls, and San Diego's Dan Snow. Yep, there he is, Big T-shirt Billy. Oh my gosh. Yep. There he is, the invasion of Big T-shirt Billy. Anyway.
Yeah, he's going to get sucked into the South Atlantic anomaly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure.
Planet.
Remember, don't get none on you.